welcome back to my channel. Today I have a video that's a little bit different. It is thrift related, but it's not clothing or style related. Some of you may know that I've been watching my videos for a while. I have 3 kids and my youngest son is autistic. He loves watching YouTube videos of people opening toys or showcasing toys that they've made or purchased from like vintage sites or used sites like eBay, but basically toys that you just can't go to the store and get. Unfortunately, he doesn't understand that these toys that he sees people playing with aren't easily available. So the video that kind of spurred this whole project into action for me is from a channel called JP and Beyond, and they were showing their toys that they made that were from the first Toy Story, and they were SID's mutant toys. So I reached out to this channel to ask if their toys were for sale. They were not, because I was told that they were made and they were special to them, which is totally understandable because that's how I feel about my toys now. I was given instructions and guidance on how I could make my own, so that's what I did. They were fairly easy to make, they were just very time consuming, but I had a really good time doing it. And in the end, my son absolutely loved them, and to see that smile on his face when he opened these toys just made everything worth it. So let's get to showing you the toys that I made.
So here we have Babyface, and Babyface is the only toy that I did not make. This was made by Disney, and I was able to find him on eBay. So next we have Pump Boy, and I made Pump Boy out of a Dollar Tree yellow car and various arms and legs that I grabbed from different baby dolls that I had thrifted. I used a Dremel for most of these toys when I had to either cut or saw, and I opened up the bottom of the car and inserted the legs, and then used Magic Mold by Crayola to just close everything up. Now, I don't think this character had a name, so we'll just call him the Frog, but he was just a little plastic frog and it was hollow. So what I did was I just cut the bottom and the legs off and then inserted the wheels that came from Pump Boy's original car, and then used Magic Mold to put all over the frog to make it look a little more cartoony. The wind-up piece came from like a knockoff Connect set that I got from the Dollar Tree, so I just made a little hole and inserted it into the frog that way. And then after all that was done, I gave it a coat of clear spray paint to lock everything in. Here we got Rockmobile, and Rockmobile is made out of an action figure. I think actually he might have been a John Cena action figure, but I used the Dremel to hack him in half essentially, and then I painted on the yellow tank that the character wears, and then this little buggy looking guy was an action figure from my husband when he was a kid, and I just Dremeled a hole where the head was and super glued him in there. But it's not exactly the same as the movie because he doesn't have the steering wheel, but my son didn't mind. Next we have my favorite, Ducky, who is also my favorite to make. Ducky is made out of a Daisy Duck Pez that I thrifted, and another Pez that had a red base that I also thrifted, that I added because that's the color in the movie. And then this little baby doll I also thrifted and I hacked up to attach to Ducky. Now, I used a Dremel to saw off Daisy's bow that was on there, and then I used Magic Mold clay to shape Ducky's head, and then a Sharpie to just add the eyes. I also gave Ducky a coat of spray paint to just lock everything in. And I just used one of those decorative suction cups that you use on windows to hang things, and I just painted it green and then hot glue gunned it into the base. Up next is Jingle Joe. Now, Jingle Joe took the longest to make because I was on a search for one of those Fisher-Price push toys, and I ended up not finding that, but I found this. I think it was like a lint roller because the rolly part had like a gel sticky stuff on it, and I found this in Savers in the like kitchen area. So I removed the gel, and then on a piece of picture paper I drew out all the illustrations and then painted it, and then we just super glued it to the cylinder part, and then I Mod Podged the surface just so it was a more finished surface. And then the top here was a big handle, and I cut it off and then Dremeled it to a point so I could put on this head, and the head is a Snow White Prince Charming Barbie head. So we pulled his head off and stuck it on there. And then I realized as I was searching for the many potato head accessories that I knew we had, I realized that I had donated them, so I had no potato head arms. So I took to Facebook on our town community page, and people were so wonderful and so helpful, and a lovely woman gave me one of her potato head arms to use. So I painted the arm part black and then just attached it with a screw. Next we have Hand in the Box. Was made from an old Princess in the Box that we had that used to belong to my daughter. It was purple, so I painted it red, and then I illustrated all the pictures on just plain computer paper and then colored them. And then once those were done, I Mod Podged them to the sides. It gave a nice finish and really adhered the pictures onto the box. And then for the hand part, we had like a grabber hand, you know, when you squeeze the handle it grabs, and it had this kind of Frankenstein looking hand on it. So I took it off and I stuffed it with quilting batting and then attached it to the original spring that was in there, and it really just it fit nicely, and the hand still fits in the box, which is nice, so my son can play with it or model it to be open or closed. And I just stuffed some magic mold clay in there to keep everything in place. On to my son's favorite, we have legs. Legs was made from a Dollar Tree fishing pole that I found, and the legs were from a Savers Barbie that I got for I think like $2. And what I did was I Dremeled the fishing rod's handle that you turn off so it was a flat surface, and then drilled holes on each side. And then I took the Barbie legs and drilled holes into those and lined them up and then just screwed them on here. And that way he can move the Barbie legs to whatever position he likes. And actually the reason I'm not touching or moving this is because he has positioned it perfectly and doesn't want me to move it. And next is Janie doll. So Janie was a doll that I found on a buy-sell trade page. And she was a Madeline doll, or one of Madeline's friends. And I thought she would be the easiest to make into Janie because of her yellow yarn hair. And what I did was I just bought these little red bows and just sewed them into her head. And then I sewed these buttons onto her eyes that I had painted blue. The dress I just sewed out of a piece of blue fabric that I found at Walmart. And then I just put on these little buttons that came in like a Dollar Tree pack. And the collar is from the shirt that the doll was already wearing. For the striped legs and arms, I used a pair of baby tights that I got at the Salvation Army. And I painted the red stripes on and cut the tights and then sewed the sides to make them smaller. You can see here it got a little bit messy, but the dress covers it. And then for the arms, I just used extra fabric from the tights that was left over. I ended up getting a little bit of paint on Janie's hands, but luckily my son didn't care. And for the little shoes, those were a pair of baby socks that had the Mary Janes already on them. So I cut off the cuffs and then sewed the backs of the socks to the legs so that way they didn't slip off and so they would fit nice and tightly. Here we have Roller Bob. Now, to make Roller Bob, I had to take this Halo action figure that I found in the toy section of Savers, and basically I hacked him in half and then I had to paint him because his entire body was like an army green. You can actually see the army green color that he was on his wrist right here. So his whole body was that color. This Halo action figure had a lot of things I had to remove, so I used the Dremel for that. His like vest had a high back on it, so I had to cut that off. And then his hands had like texture on them, probably because they were meant to be gloves, so I smoothed that out as best as I could and then painted like his hands and neck a peachy color. And then I just drilled him onto this skateboard.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this. I know it's not my usual video, but I was very proud of the toys that I made, and they were thrifted toys that I hacked up and put together. So it kind of falls into my normal channel content. I want to thank the YouTube channel JP and Beyond for being so helpful and so encouraging during this whole process. I will link their YouTube down below and the Facebook page connected to their channel that I reached out to. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!